OMG. Your soulmate ex begs don't watch this video, but you must. My beloved child, hold your attention for just one heartbeat, because what you are about to hear was never meant to reach you. Someone hoped this moment would pass unnoticed. Someone wished you would scroll away before discovering what quietly changed behind the scenes. Yet here you are, exactly where you were meant to be. Strange, isn't it? Out of millions of voices, something pulled you toward this one. That is not an accident. Stay a little longer, because the first piece of this mystery is only now beginning to reveal itself. There is a reason the title unsettled you. It is not because of fear. It is because deep inside, your intuition recognized a hidden pattern. Imagine someone from the past standing at a doorway they once closed with confidence, only to realize the path they abandoned has become brighter without them. They do not fully understand what changed, but they can feel it. They sense that your energy is no longer tied to old memories, old doubts, or old expectations. And that realization creates a question they cannot ignore. What if the chapter they believed was finished has quietly become the beginning of something they never expected? Pause on that thought. Because while they are looking backward, something else is moving forward. Your soulmate story is not unfolding in reverse. It is unfolding toward you. This is where everything becomes fascinating. People often believe destiny announces itself with loud signs and dramatic moments. But the greatest turning points arrive almost silently. A single conversation. A forgotten memory returning at midnight. A dream that refuses to leave someone's mind. A feeling they cannot explain no matter how hard they try. Those moments seem ordinary. Until later. Then suddenly every small detail fits together like pieces of a puzzle that had been scattered for years. What if that puzzle has already started forming? What if today's message is not predicting the future, but helping you recognize a path that has already begun? Think carefully. Someone from the past may wish you never noticed how much you have changed. Not because they control your future, but because your growth reminds them of the opportunities they left behind. Growth has a quiet power. It doesn't argue. It doesn't chase approval. It simply moves ahead until everyone else realizes they have been left staring at yesterday. And perhaps that is exactly why this message found you today. Not to make you look back, but to show you how far you've already come. Now another question appears. If someone regrets losing sight of your value, what happens when another soul begins seeing that value more clearly than ever before? That answer changes everything. Because the energy surrounding your soulmate feels different now. It carries curiosity instead of confusion. Calm instead of hesitation. They may not know your entire story, but they are beginning to sense something impossible to ignore. Every step they take seems to point toward a connection they cannot logically explain. Every unexpected coincidence feels less like chance and more like guidance. Before this journey continues, keep listening closely. The next revelation doesn't arrive with noise. It arrives with a truth so subtle that many people overlook it the first time, and yet once you see it, you can never unsee it. So don't rush away. The most unexpected piece of this story has not entered the picture yet. A quiet shift is happening right now, and if you leave before hearing this, the biggest piece of the puzzle may never make sense. The story has reached a point where the surface no longer matters. What matters is what has been unfolding behind the silence. Stay with me, because this next revelation connects everything you've heard so far in a way few people ever expect. Picture this for a moment. Somewhere, without announcing it to anyone, your soulmate has started seeing familiar memories through completely different eyes. The conversations they once brushed aside suddenly carry new meaning. The little moments they forgot now return with surprising clarity. It feels as though life itself has placed a spotlight on details they ignored before. And every time they revisit those memories, one realization grows stronger: they have been looking in the wrong direction for far too long. Now think about the person from their past. That chapter no longer feels as certain as it once did. The confidence that existed there has slowly faded because something cannot be recreated once genuine connection disappears. No matter how much someone wishes to return to what was comfortable, the heart recognizes when a season has ended. It doesn't shout. It simply becomes quieter until the truth can no longer be avoided. Here's the fascinating part. While some people are busy trying to understand what slipped away, your soulmate is beginning to understand what has been waiting ahead. They are noticing qualities they overlooked before. Strength that wasn't obvious. Kindness that didn't demand attention. A quiet confidence that grows instead of fades. And those discoveries are changing the way they see their own future. Have you ever wondered why certain people suddenly remember you after months or even years of silence? Sometimes it isn't coincidence. Sometimes growth becomes impossible to ignore. The version of you that exists today is not the same version that once questioned every step. Every challenge has refined your perspective. Every delay has quietly prepared you for something more meaningful. And the remarkable thing is that people notice this transformation long before they fully understand why. Take a deep breath and keep following this journey. Because the next piece isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about finally recognizing where your energy truly belongs. If this message has made you stop and reflect even for a moment, share your thoughts below. I'd love to know which part spoke to you the most. And if these stories inspire you to keep believing in your own journey, consider subscribing so we can continue exploring these moments together. Now listen carefully. Imagine standing at the edge of a bridge. Behind you is everything familiar. Ahead of you is everything uncertain. Most people hesitate there. But your soulmate is slowly reaching the point where uncertainty feels less frightening than staying where they are. That inner change doesn't happen overnight. It happens through countless quiet realizations that build one upon another until a single decision changes everything. The next chapter begins with one unexpected discovery, a discovery that neither your soulmate nor anyone from the past saw coming. And once that moment arrives, the entire story takes a direction that almost no one could have predicted. Listen closely, because the next moment is where everything quietly begins to align. Nothing appears dramatic from the outside, yet beneath the surface, a chain of events is already moving into place. The kind of change that seems invisible at first often becomes the one people remember forever. Stay until the end of this part, because one small realization is about to connect every clue you've heard so far. Imagine your soulmate waking up with a feeling they cannot explain. There is no clear reason. No message. No announcement. Just an undeniable sense that something important is getting closer. They try to distract themselves with ordinary routines, but every path somehow leads back to the same unanswered thought. Why does your presence keep returning to their mind? It isn't because of the past. It is because the future has started whispering louder than yesterday ever could. This is the difference most people never notice. Some spend their lives chasing what has already faded. Others suddenly realize they should be preparing for what is about to arrive. Your soulmate is slowly crossing that invisible line. The old chapter no longer feels like home. It feels like a lesson. And every lesson has one purpose: to prepare someone for a wiser decision. Now ask yourself something. What if every delay you've experienced was quietly protecting the timing of something greater? What if the waiting wasn't empty at all? What if it was building a version of you that could finally recognize the right connection when it appeared? These questions matter because destiny rarely rushes. It unfolds with incredible precision. One conversation opens another. One unexpected opportunity introduces a new perspective. One ordinary day suddenly becomes unforgettable, not because the world changed overnight, but because someone finally saw the truth that had been standing in front of them all along. Your soulmate is approaching that kind of realization. Piece by piece, they are beginning to understand that genuine peace is never found by looking backward. It is discovered by having the courage to move toward what feels authentic. And as that understanding grows, so does their confidence to leave behind hesitation, uncertainty, and every story that no longer reflects who they are becoming. Here's something worth remembering. The people who truly belong in your future are not drawn to a perfect version of you. They are drawn to the real strength you developed while no one was watching. The patience. The resilience. The quiet hope that survived even when answers seemed distant. Those qualities create a light that doesn't demand attention, it naturally attracts it. So don't measure your progress by what hasn't happened yet. Measure it by how much you've grown while waiting. Because growth always arrives before the breakthrough. And somewhere beyond today's ordinary moments, another chapter is quietly preparing to open. A conversation that seems impossible today may soon feel completely natural. A connection that once felt uncertain may begin to carry unmistakable clarity. The signs won't arrive all at once. They will appear one by one, until you suddenly realize the story has already moved into an entirely new season. The next part uncovers the moment when hidden truths finally surface, and the choice made in that moment changes the direction of everything that follows. A new chapter is opening, and this is the moment where the silence finally begins to speak. For so long, everything seemed hidden beneath the surface, as though the answers were intentionally delayed. But what if those delays were never obstacles? What if they were preparing everyone involved for a truth that could only be understood now? Stay with this story a little longer, because what comes next reshapes everything you've imagined until this point. Your soulmate has reached a place where pretending no longer feels possible. Every distraction has slowly lost its power. Every old explanation sounds less convincing than it did before. There is a quiet honesty growing inside them, an honesty that asks difficult questions but also reveals meaningful answers. Meanwhile, someone connected to their past begins to notice the difference. Not through dramatic events. Not through arguments. Simply through absence. They realize the attention they once expected is no longer there. The familiar patterns have changed. The emotional weight they once held has quietly disappeared. And in that realization comes something unexpected, the understanding that life continues moving forward, whether anyone is ready or not. Now pause for a second. What if the greatest victory is not proving someone wrong? What if it is becoming so focused on your own journey that yesterday naturally fades into the background? That is the transformation unfolding here. Your soulmate is no longer measuring tomorrow by old memories. They are beginning to imagine possibilities they once thought were impossible. The future feels less uncertain and more inviting. Even though they cannot see every step ahead, something within them keeps saying, keep moving. And perhaps that same message is reaching you today. If this journey has encouraged you, or if a part of this story reminded you to keep believing in your own path, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Many people find hope by reading one another's experiences. And if you'd like to continue exploring stories like this together, subscribing is a simple way to stay connected for what comes next. Now listen carefully. There is one final detail that almost everyone overlooks. Real connections are not built by perfect timing alone. They are strengthened by personal growth, patience, and the willingness to become the person you were always capable of being. When those pieces come together, opportunities begin appearing in places that once seemed ordinary. That is why this story has never been about looking over your shoulder. It has always been about recognizing the road opening in front of you. Imagine standing at sunrise after a long night. The darkness didn't disappear because someone wished it away. It faded because light naturally arrived. In the same way, clarity enters life when you continue moving forward with confidence instead of remaining trapped by yesterday. The next chapter of your journey isn't asking you to chase the past. It's inviting you to embrace the future with open eyes, renewed purpose, and a heart that is finally ready for everything it has been preparing to receive. And sometimes, that single decision becomes the moment that changes the entire story forever. The story is becoming clearer now. Yet the most meaningful moment still waits just beyond the horizon. What you're about to hear isn't loud or dramatic. It arrives quietly, almost unnoticed, the way life-changing moments often do. Stay with this until the final line of this chapter, because the next realization may completely change the way you see every part of this journey. Picture your soulmate standing at an ordinary moment in their day. Nothing around them seems unusual. The world continues exactly as it always has. And then, without warning, a simple reminder appears. A familiar song. A passing conversation. A place they haven't thought about in months. Suddenly, everything they believed they had figured out begins to shift. Not because someone told them what to think. Because their own heart finally became honest enough to listen. That is the power of quiet clarity. It never forces itself into your life. It waits patiently until you're ready to recognize it. Now consider this. Every meaningful connection carries moments of distance. Not to separate two people forever, but to reveal who they become while walking their own path. Those seasons of waiting often feel confusing. Yet they build wisdom that cannot be gained any other way. Your soulmate is beginning to understand exactly that. They no longer see every delay as a loss. They see it as preparation. Preparation to value what truly matters. Preparation to recognize genuine peace instead of temporary comfort. Preparation to move toward a future guided by authenticity rather than uncertainty. And perhaps the same lesson has quietly been shaping your own path all along. Ask yourself one simple question. If tomorrow brought an unexpected opportunity, would you be ready to receive it? Not because everything is perfect, but because you've become stronger than you were yesterday. That question changes everything. The people who experience lasting transformation are rarely the ones who rush through every season. They are the ones who keep growing while nothing seems to be happening. They continue believing when results remain invisible. And one day they look back and realize every quiet step carried them exactly where they needed to be. Your story is moving toward that kind of moment. Even now, possibilities are forming beyond your sight. New conversations. Fresh beginnings. Unexpected encounters. Small decisions that appear ordinary today but may become unforgettable tomorrow. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be chased. The right opportunities reveal themselves when preparation finally meets the perfect moment. So continue walking with confidence. Leave behind every fear that tells you your best chapter has already passed. Because the truth is far more hopeful. Sometimes the pages that feel the slowest are quietly leading to the most meaningful chapter of the entire story. And in the next part, one final hidden connection comes into focus, a moment that brings every clue together and reveals why this journey unfolded exactly the way it did. This is the moment everything has been quietly preparing for, not with noise, not with impossible promises, but with a truth that only becomes visible when you look at the entire journey instead of a single moment. If you've stayed with this story until now, you've already realized that the greatest changes rarely announce themselves, they simply arrive. And this final chapter explains why. Think back to where this story began. It wasn't about someone trying to hold on to the past. It wasn't about proving anyone right or wrong. It was about discovering that every ending creates space for a beginning that could never exist otherwise. Your soulmate has reached a place where their heart feels lighter than it has in a long time. They are no longer carrying yesterday's questions with the same weight. The lessons remain, but the uncertainty is fading. They understand something now that once seemed impossible to accept: the future cannot be built while constantly looking over your shoulder. And perhaps that message belongs to you as well. How many opportunities have appeared quietly while your attention was fixed somewhere else? How many moments of hope have already entered your life without demanding recognition? Sometimes we wait for extraordinary signs, while extraordinary possibilities arrive disguised as ordinary days. That is the hidden lesson behind this entire journey. The path ahead does not ask you to be fearless. It simply asks you to keep moving. One meaningful step. One honest decision. One hopeful tomorrow at a time. As you continue forward, you'll notice something remarkable. The people meant to walk beside you won't need endless explanations. They will appreciate your growth. They will value your authenticity. They will recognize the strength you developed through every challenge you overcame. That is a connection worth protecting. Not because it is perfect, but because it is genuine. Before this story comes to a close, remember one thing above everything else: your future is not defined by who failed to understand your worth. It is shaped by the person you continue becoming every single day. Growth is your greatest victory. Peace is your greatest achievement. And hope is the quiet light that keeps guiding you forward, even when the road bends in unexpected directions. If this journey inspired you, thank you for sharing these moments with me. Reading your thoughts in the comments helps build a community of people encouraging one another, and if you'd like to continue exploring stories filled with mystery, purpose, and hope, you're always welcome to subscribe and return for the next chapter. Now close this video with one simple thought in your heart. The most beautiful pages of your story are never the ones you've already read. They are the ones you have not lived yet. And perhaps, sooner than you imagine, you'll look back at this very moment and realize, this was the chapter where everything quietly began to change.